straight from the automotive industry event of the year, NADA 2025. Chicks in Charge and Authenticom are bringing you the biggest names in automotive. From industry disruptors to game-changing innovators, we're getting the inside scoop on what's next for the auto world. This is where leaders talk and the future takes shape. Are you ready? Buckle up and let's dive in.
Hey, welcome back to the Chicks in Charge podcast, happening live at the Authenticom booth at NADA 2025. Shasta, did I do it right?
You did. You got it.
So excited. I didn't even practice it. Got that. Oh my gosh. All right. We're here with Darrell Steed, and Darrell is, really, I've just got to know him recently. Like, we've got to have some chatty time and get to know each other. And, Darrell, tell people, like, what you do. Like, I want to talk to you about personal stuff, too. But first, I want to introduce you and tell people what you do for dealerships. Because I think you were in that world for a long time, and now you know how to help them.
Yeah, I was a used car director and sales director for a large group. Then I went over to Automotive, and I was the senior trainer for ICO for almost 7 years. And KBB has a great product, but I decided I want to go up because KBB was very singularly focused. And so now I've created SmartWolf Consulting in the Street Smarts Training Academy that focuses on building buying centers, acquisition. So really taking control and bringing people from the streets into your store to where you can work your service drive, private party acquisition, trade-in process in a more effective way to where the experience is now on the forefront. Really delivering, like, if anyone knows, like a Nordstrom's or a dealer, it's like really making it to where the experience is so good and so impactful that that's where profits are now being built, is in the value, not the deception tactics, right? So it's doing it in a different way.
And it's funny that you brought up Nordstrom, because a lot of people don't know what the Nordstrom philosophy is, right? Like, if you you can even shop at another store, and you go to Nordstrom to return it, and you didn't even buy it there. Like, their employees know they need to take that return.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. Like, they are customer service first.
Well, and it's funny, people, because I use that story, and even if you don't know it, I tell people the story of I bought a tie. Not this tie, but Jerry Garcia had a line of ties for a long time.
I love that.
And you could buy a Jerry Garcia tie at a Mervyn's or JCPenney's or any of this for $35. No big deal. You go into Nordstrom, same tie, $80. And people are like, why would you? When you walk in, and it's kind of what we say in the business, it never happens when we say it, it's like, treat everyone like an 800 credit score. When you walked into Nordstrom's, you were a millionaire. Yeah. It didn't matter what you wore. I mean, it was head to toe service. And so you were like, I mean, I don't like this price, but man, they're making me feel so good about it that, like,
I don't mind it.
And oddly enough, even though you overpaid for it based on what you could have got, the value, when you wore it, you're like, oh, I got this from Nordstrom's. Like, it was just a symbol of, like, that's right, that's where I shop. And it created a whole different dynamic. And so that's what I focus on, is the experience in building this strategy. One, it's going to help dealers be more profitable, but going back to the training and developing people to be more empowered in the conversation to where they don't have to feel they need to be deceptive because they're ready for engaging in a conversation with a customer.
Right. I was thinking about this because we both worked at a dealership before that, and it was a Kia store, and the GM literally had that philosophy, like, they need to have that experience, to the point where he even had me, like, wasn't my job, he had me redesign all of the finance offices so it felt lush and rich in there, so that when they walked, because it was like chairs that scratched the walls, and I mean, you're going in here and you're spending $40, $50, $60, $70, $80,000, and it looks like a warehouse, and he's like, I want them to be nice, I want the lighting to be good, I want art on the walls, I want this to be an experience when they walk in here. And so to even have that thought process as a dealer, you need to know, like, when you get to that level, you're giving them that type of experience, they're not hitting you over the head on price. You're okay to make a profit. It's okay to make a profit.
Well, it's funny you say that about the desk and everything. So I had a client reach out to me and they said, hey, we want to open a buying center. So we go through the whole rigmarole because we're going to have questions about where you're going, what you're doing, what we're going to build for you. And so we come to an agreement. I show up at the store, and it's so funny you say that. I walk in and like, okay, we're going to use this cubicle or this office, which is fine, right? They at least gave a space for it. Mm-hmm. And it was like they went found all the desks from 1970 that they've been like storing in the shed. And they said, well, we like, oh, here's the desk, here's this. And I was like, guys, so if I roll in here and your sales department has this nice new furniture, looks really nice, I roll into here, how serious do you want people to take you when I've got the desk that like it's different colors on each
That's yard
side,
sale does.
and like some of them don't have drawers. And I said, and here's the thing: even if the customer said, "I don't care about both," I want you to think about your employees. They sit down, they see all the sales guys, and then they come and sit in this room like this. Yeah, we're definitely not a focus here. And so it's funny because that experience goes not just for the consumer, but your employees and how they feel about where they work. Right. So I think when people get into that, it's understanding if you want to make more money, buy a car for less, which in turn makes you more profit down the road. When you walk in, do you feel that? Do you feel like, okay, this is different? This is better. Are you connected to it? Or do you feel like the old school kind of like grab your wallet and protect your money?
Yeah.
And so I focus on that side of it. Yeah. Like when you're done talking to me, do you feel like, man, I'm glad I had my hand on my back pocket? Or do you feel like, you know what, man, he's family.
Yeah.
You didn't ask for it, but I'm going to give you $5.
Yeah, or hey, I would trust this person with my kids. Or you go like this, like that. Hey, he's never allowed to be around the kids. Yeah. It's like that type of thing. So I think when we look at that is we have to start doing it a different way. And then where I focus on the training aspect is what dealers have missed. And I actually talked to 3 today. And when I said what I'm about to say to you, they were like, holy hell, we didn't even think about this. We have trained everybody in the industry to say no to us. We have done it in our own word tracks, in our own methodologies, and then we're surprised and like, I don't understand why they don't like this deal. And I told them, I said, guys, every time that they say no to you, you come back with a better deal.
Right.
If I said no to my kids and every time I said no to them and then they came back to me and I did it, they would be like, I'll just say no once. So I teach how you have a conversation and to where dealers get to refuse business, not be refused. Which changes the methodology and the psychology of interacting with people. So
you're so niche though, like you're so niche in what you do. You are so specific in who you serve and how you serve them. How do you find dealers that are like me? I'm the guy that needs you. Because although all of them need you, all of them don't know they need you.
So for the longest time, so I've now had this consulting agency and doing this on my own for 5 years, and I would work by referral. Oddly enough, it'd be from vendor referrals because the V-Autos, the ICO, people like they're struggling, they need somebody, and I was really good at obviously developing this. They'd refer people to me, and then we'd have conversations. And then I got asked, they're like, well, Darrell, you've been doing this for 15 years. My first client center was 11. How come we don't know anyone? I was so busy doing it, I didn't realize that I needed to talk about it. I was just getting success for the people that signed up for me and that did this. And so this year I've made a thing of like, I created the podcast, I created the academy. And so when people say, hey, I may not be affordable because time is money and I'm going to come in and build something for you. And we're talking large scale, 80 plus cars a month, things like that. I built this academy.
So they're buying 80 plus cars a month.
Bare minimum. That's my worst performing year. So the best client that I have is doing over 250 a month. And then the one that we just got started about a year old is doing about 85 to 90.
Nice.
Are those private party buys or
all private party, and then lead providers like KBB ICO or AccuTrade. The one that's doing over 200 a month does about 40 to 50 of those from their service drive. Everything else is private party. I understand auction has its place. I just believe its place is no longer what it used to be. I believe it's 5% of your strategy. And your trade-ins, your private party, your service drive, your lead providers that are also private party, but third-party lead providers should be 85% of your acquisition strategy. So, but by doing that, it's like, okay, I can take on 4 clients here to really provide that service, that Nordstrom service, because I'm going to spend time. We're going to win. I got a lot of people saying like, well, Darrell, we want you with this, that, and the other, but it was either affordability or do you have something else? And so when I created the academy was, everything I've done for the last 14 years that has been replicated with success, I put into an academy, particularly the walk around, which is the kind of the coup de grace of like engaging with customers. And it's not a silent walk around that doesn't work. Okay. It's actually empowering your people how to have a conversation and engage with a lot of psychological triggers. Is now there's a solution to where everybody knows they need this, but not everybody's willing to put that investment. Now there's a place to start. And then if that's not enough for you, then we can talk further of what else you need. Because not everybody needs the fully loaded version, and not everybody needs the basic version. So now I have options.
It's like a crawl, run, walk.
Yeah, crawl, walk, run. Yeah, because not everybody's ready to run.
Yeah,
like you do need to build the foundation. So it's been interesting.
So on your time span, though, with your dealers, like what are they committing to? A year, 3 years, 5 years? What are they committing? How long does it take to build a mindset?
if we do it like the SmartWolf thing and I come in and I build it for you, it's a 12-month deal. If you want it longer term, I prefer that because then we're building something for sustainability.
Right.
But I will build you something that is going to make you a very profitable, I want to say 7x return on what you're paying me in a year. Why I encourage a 2 to 3 year thing is because once you build it, you want to make sure that now that you have the foundation, you know where you're going with it. Some of the clients that I did for 12 months after I left, I ended up having to come back because they didn't have anyone in place to do like managing. And so the 2 years is like, okay, let's now train the person to manage it. It's built. Now let's learn how to manage it. And then my client that does the 200 plus, that was a 4-year contract from the gate because they made a commitment to this is their strategy.
Nice.
And they haven't bought a car at the auction in 4 years.
Wow. And I think about that like, so it's not just that. So you think about, let's think about like the forest burn, right?
Yep.
It's not like somebody came in and taught them, said this is how you do it, and then they never came back and trained it again, right? It just became the process. And so now it's not even like we did a thing, we trained you in here. And now it's just the process so that everybody from the top down, from finance to sales, from the title clerk to everybody knows this is the process at the buying center.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. Anybody can step in and go, what are you doing? That's not the process. This is the process right here. And that can't be built overnight. That can't be ingrained.
Well, that's it. It's not ingrained. And then it's the accountability of it. It's like, I was having a conversation. So you might have a whiz kid, right? Like that you train them in like 3 weeks, they get it. And you're just like the sales guy and you're like, man, I wish I could hire 10 of you. But there's not 10 of that around. And then you might have someone that has all the connection things. They do all the things right, but they're like, they just learn a little bit slower or it takes them a little bit of time. No one learns at the same pace. And so we give up on a lot of people and we get rid of people and the turnover rate in the auto industry is insane.
Yeah.
And most of it comes one, we don't do proper training or adequate training. And then we don't give people enough time. So for me, it's like when you get that year, now we know who we have. We probably have a pretty good idea of the right people, but now we need to ingrain them of how they become self-sustained, where you don't have to micromanage them or do that, or who's going to direct it, who's going to manage it. So with that, that's where it gets really interesting because the ones that have done the longer term contracts, I'm a coach for one that was a 3-year deal, and then now I just coach, and it's like a once a month we just check in, make sure everything's okay. They have had like a 2% fall off. Because like because they like we know what they do and now I'm just kind of the pump up guy when I call them like, hey, we know we're supposed to be doing that. But the ones after a year they're going like, well, hey, we're not seeing the same results. Well, are you doing everything the exact same way? And it's not even that. They're doing what I told them, but they're not doing it every day or they're not doing it all the time or they're not like so someone asked me like AI. This conversation came up today because there's probably 100 vendors here that are talking about AI.
No,
I think
every vendor.
I think on almost every podcast it's gotten brought up. I wish I would have played a drinking game or a betting game.
Yeah, well, you probably would have been drunk, right? Yeah. So they talk about AI and they're saying, okay, well, like, what about AI? And I'm like, herein lies the issue. Like when we talk about AI, you want to get a more effective way or efficient way, and they said, what about like buyers that aren't there, like remote BDCs? And it's all the same as when you're hearing no, is you need that human element of pumping them up, changing their mindset. Like when something's not working, and I get it, there's some interactive and adaptive AIs that are going to be very promising, but machine learning, it doesn't change. So if you get a response that doesn't work, you got to ebb and flow that.
Right.
You have a process, but it still takes like understanding what's happening. And if I have you do it and you do it and you've made 100 phone calls and all you've heard is no, the strongest person is going to start to get a little mentally like beat up.
Yeah.
And so you have to learn part of that learning aspect and getting people to understand is I go to you, I make you stand up, I make you go outside, and then we talk. And I want to get your mind off of it for 10 minutes and reset you. And now you teach them how to do that because we undervalue keeping people in that positive frame of mind in the grind you.
You know what that reminded me of? Do you ever watch that? I don't know what he's called, the Pet Whisperer or whatever it is, Caesar Romero.
Oh, yeah, the little dog guy. Yeah.
Right? And so one of the things that he does when a dog is misbehaving is he snaps him out of it. Like he may tap him on the shoulder, tip him over here, right here. And it's not like that he's whooping the dog or correcting the dog, whatever. He's snapping him out of whatever mindset he's in.
Yeah.
Like he's literally doing it.
You're resetting.
Yeah, that resets that dog. And so when you said that, it kind of reminded me of that. You have to get them out of that environment when you said that.
So when the series will be great. So there's a young lady at the Night Buying Center. She's going to hate this. It's great. Her name's Leslie Garten. She's fantastic. And I made them do some videos to say like how this helped them. So I said, hey, what do you think the difference is of like days that like when I'm not in store, when you're on store? I said, what's the difference? She's like, well, when you come in and we're struggling and we have answers, like you come in and you give us different perspectives. And then like you kind of take our mind off of it so we can refocus. When you're not here, we have to be very diligent. And I said, okay, so if I wasn't here 5-6 days a week, or if someone wasn't here to do that, she's like, I think it'd be harder because then you don't have someone like kind of giving you that it's okay. Like it is tough. And I think that's where we need to understand our people. We're asking them to do something in a very challenging market, and there's all kinds of things out in the world that get in our way.
So you're doing a lot with these stores that you're working with. What I want to know, out of curiosity, is there a tool that you think is just a game changer that almost every store needs to implement when you start working?
There's two. So if you sign up with me, I can't tell you to do it. It's your store.
Right.
But I heavily encourage you to get Vehicle Acquisition Network, because it's just a aggregation system and CRM for acquisition that brings all the private party listings in. So I don't want to have to go chase everything down. I want to have it consolidated in one spot. And their coaches get trained by me, so you're getting an extension of me.
Yeah.
And then the other one, at this present moment, it's not a conversation, AccuTrade. It is the best appraisal tool on the market for one reason only. It allows OBD, so the thing you plug in your car to get the diagnostics, and the visual inspection in one spot.
Wow.
So now everything I present to a customer, my methodology is if a dealer gives a number, and if we can go back to Foursquare, that's hilarious, because when we gave a number from a Foursquare, we gave a number, a dealer can never win that conversation. Because if that number's too low, which it always will be, you gave the number, which means you're instantly the bad guy. And we'll go one further. In 5 minutes, you're going to go back to the desk. They're going to give you more money, which means you just validated, one, you were ripping them off, and two, you'd give more.
Right.
With AccuTrade or third-party validation tools, but AccuTrade has all of it, the OBD reader is done by a third-party company. So it's all diagnostics that are facts, not feelings.
Yeah.
AccuTrade, they cannot have the numbers manipulated. When you put all the diagnostics in and you put all the conditions wrong with the car, that initial number that comes out from cars.com and AccuTrade, you can't turn it up, can't turn it down. That's the value based on your car. When I give that number and I can present all the facts, not my feelings, not my thoughts, now if the consumer says the offer is too low, I don't disagree with them, but now we have a place to start, and now the dealer can always be the good guy. Because now I can provide a solution.
Yeah.
I'm no longer the guy who told you your car was an ugly baby.
Yeah.
Right? And I tell people, I'm like, have you ever went in, mom just started to have, she's about to have the kid comes in and goes, damn, that baby's ugly? No, you have never said that. That's why you're still breathing.
Yeah.
But that's what you do when you tell them their trade's bad.
Yeah.
And you expect them to go like this. Oh, this guy's great. This person's awesome. You just told me my car's a pile and you want me to accept this. If someone else says it's bad and they say it's worth more, now I can say, okay, Shasta, like, I agree with you. That looks a little low. Where did you see that your car was worth more? Like, KBB, that, like, I can have a conversation. And if they say, oh, that's just what I thought, now we can get into a conversation rather than me attacking your car.
Well,
So it just
I owe
changes
more than
that.
that on it.
And if they say, and if they do, they say, well, that's what I owe. And this one's like, well, as we both know that, like, there was only 2 years where your car was worth more than what you own. Those are gone. But let me do this. At the end of the day, right, we're just trying to get you in the best possible position. So if I can get you more for your car and give you all the information, then you can make an educated decision.
Right.
If they say no, a no is okay.
Yeah.
Because if you give them the value that works, or the value that you're acceptable to your dealership, what ends up happening is you're not going to get a yes every time. But now what you've done, and you've made it to where it's not grimy, where it's not, we'll call it the dealership, the old school dealership environment. When they go shop you, they're going to get that old school environment from 90% of out there, and now they're going to remember that you treated them like a person.
Right.
And that's where that Nordstrom experience comes full circle. Is I'm going to give them things to go question other dealers on by the experience I provide for them first, whether they're in store or online.
Yeah.
You want your value over the phone? No problem. You want it online? No problem. Now, it's going to require an inspection, because you could tell me your car is a diamond and send me a picture of the TV side, and then I need to see the non-TV side.
Right.
However, if you repped it as you said it is, why does the value change? If they told you everything and you walk through it, the value doesn't change unless we plug in the OBD.
Yeah.
Now, if you say there's 15 codes on your car, 15 codes. But if there's nothing wrong with it, that's the value shouldn't change.
Yeah.
So it's just changing the way we dynamically talk to consumers.
Right.
To where, in a perfect world, and I know I'm a dreamer, I would love it to where the dealership environment becomes a trusted aspect. I don't think we're going to reset that model anytime soon. I mean, I think the 80s. I think the 80s put us in a pretty big bag. However, I think from acquisition, the CarMaxes, the Carvanas.
Yeah.
These companies would have never been around
Have we done
Have
our
we
job?
had we done it right. And now that they are, we have the ability to take that business back if we just look at the model they did and then create a unique perspective to that model in your own
customer
dealership.
service.
In your own dealership. They want to do business with you.
Yeah.
But if people wanted
They
to
don't want to
trade
do
their
dirty
car,
business.
well, but if they also wanted to trade their car in, they would trade it in. The reason the acquisition model came up, buying centers, and everything, this is the trade model, the trade-in appraisal process was so bad and so grimy. They'd rather sell their car and then buy a car. They want to separate the transactions. What if we could get to a point, and I have one buying center that's done this. We baited it. It's doing great. We have a buying center. It is completely branded in a different way. It is in the store, but it's, you walk in, stickered, bannered, different uniforms, everything. No trade appraisals get done by the sales floor. The buying center does all acquisitions, very similar to CarMax, because they figured it out. They give multiple values, not one. They give them 3 third-party values so that they can choose the highest one for themselves. But now what ends up happening? The sales guy can now focus on selling them a car, and there is no manipulation. There's no them being nervous about the trade value because that comes from the buying team, and their only job is to get them the highest, best offer they can and create the conversation of where we go from there. And so we've done that. Oh, trade rate went up. What we start at to what we end at went down. So your gap went down. Yeah. So when you get into that, it's like, are we doing the things that there is no more secret weapon we're going to somehow magically make $5,000 a car?
Yeah.
And by the way, if I invent that or somehow create that, I won't tell you about it. I'm going to open my own store. However,
that year has passed.
Yeah, that year has passed. But what if we could win? We take in, say, 100 trades a month. What if we could win $200 per trade, doing it a different way, and then increase our trades by 10? And then what on acquisition, instead of paying auction values, which we all know are insane, what if we could
So we're just layering all of these people that need to make a profit.
Well, what if we could beat the auction by, I want to say thousands, but realistically, what if we could beat the auction by 500 on every vehicle? Well, when you look at that, there's no more winning it's little micro battles we're winning to then get you to where you want to be in the process.
It's like football, right? Because football is a game of inches.
It is a game of inches.
So that's the same thing. It's the same thing as what you're doing right here. Like if I can get an inch here and get an inch here and get an inch here, and then over the next 12 months, like your profit margin went up this much, and that's what you see happen. And I know that Shannon's giving me the fingers. So, but
stop giving me the finger, Shannon.
How many more clients in 2025 can you handle on the one-on-one service with you? And then what does it look like to get into the academy?
So, 2 different ways. Like if you want the full all-in, like you
Full
want me in
money.
there, so that I could do 2 more clients. But what I did is I created.
So which 2 of you out that are watching this are going, look, he only has 2 slots. I'm going to take one of those. Bye, God.
And when I say that is, people ask me, well, why are you worth the money? Why this? I have no problem saying this. I'm too small because I'm an army of one, to fail, which means you're guaranteed to win. Because if I fail, that's not good for me. Right. So I have to win.
It's a huge percentage of your business.
Huge percentage, right? Now, the academy, if you want that, it's $3,000 a month, or it's a one-time payment. You get a 20% discount. If we're close, let's figure it out, and you get as many logins as you want. But I created one more solution because there may not be somebody that's like, hey, I'm going to invest this big amount to do the all-in-one. Right. So if you get the academy, I have a hybrid version where it's like you get the academy and a certain amount of hours that I'll dedicate to help you set it up or support. Well, if I can do 10 of those because it's the same as taking on 2 of those. So it's like I created a third solution because some people are like, I don't want to do all that, but I want a piece of it. So I wanted to create to where there's multiple options. And I think it's one of those things where you ask yourself, 2025, I think is going to be the toughest year in used cars. I don't think there's any argument to that. We're estimating 3 million less cars into the market in used, and compression getting higher. Is how do you create a dynamic brand? And I'm not saying that you're going to be overly profitable this year.
Right.
How do you get ahead of it right now to where when 2026, when you see the relief starting to happen, that you already control what's going to happen? And it's really that is, build for where you're going.
This is a good year to build.
Right? Yeah, build for where you're going. Don't build for where you're at. Yeah. Right. And so
they want to connect with you. What's the best way to get with you?
SmartWolfConsulting.com, AutoStreetSmarts.com. Got the podcast, which is SmartWolf, or you can type in Street Smarts on YouTube and it'll take you there.
Shasta put all the links down below.
Yeah, or Darrell Steed on any social media. And the last thing I'll say, because I'm sitting with you, right? Because just so you guys know, okay, I have to give them a plug because they actually help me do all my podcasts. I go and make all the stuff up in there, and then they actually make them look pretty. But like Social Grenade and everything else, tier 4 marketing. Okay, also known as social media. If you guys didn't know what tier 4 marketing is,
I did it.
okay,
I'm tier 4.
okay is social. Some of the stuff you guys have helped me with is why there's an actual like reach and everything else, because that's where you have to be at, and that's part of the acquisition strategy. Is you can do third party, and you can go, guys. Social media, your own employees are secret weapon.
Oh my lord! Think about all those vehicles sitting out there we could be buying.
Is how many people, and I only know one person in the industry that has embraced this full-fledged. Okay, shout out to Glenn Lundy that has full-fledged embraced this. Yep. But it's the freest thing you can do, and then you can enhance it with Social Grenade. And the social is, why would you not want to get the message out where people live? I mean, I don't know how many people live on their app all day long.
Go to a restaurant, look around.
Yeah,
just look around. What do you think they're doing? So
everyone takes pictures of their food, right? I think maybe I don't know. So, but I mean, you guys have done great for me. I want to thank you guys for having me on. Chicks in Charge, you guys are crushing it. So keep it up. And I hope you guys had a great show.
We do, absolutely. And you can find all of the contact information for Darrell in the show notes below. Shasta will make sure that they all get in there. And I hope are you going out tonight having fun?
We are going to go see, I think, I'm going to go grab some food because I haven't eaten all day. And then we're going to go see Blues Traveler.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So I'm a big fan. So it's Kevin Bacon's band and then Blues Traveler. But Blues Traveler, oh my Lord, I love it. I hope he gets that harmonica out and goes crazy.
That's going to be amazing. All right, everybody, have a good show. We'll talk to you all next time.
Bye.
This episode is brought to you by Authenticom, the business behind the automotive business. And this is Chicks in Charge Automotive Edition, available wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Help us grow. Rate and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.